My name's Erik Nemes from Sense and Laundrylux, and I'm joined here today by Jason Fleck, who's the Senior VP of Strategic Partnerships at Laundrylux. So Jason, would love for you to, quickly introduce yourself, introduce Laundrylux, and then we can get into the questions that we have for you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Jason Fleck, the Senior VP of Laundrylux. I have a long career in the industry with everything from working with store owners to distribution to sales team training to product expert to started off really in a factory and worked my way out to selling Hipsch for a long time for Alliance, 18 years of that, and then worked my way up to the lead sales development manager at Alliance for Speakween and Hipsch, and then 3.5 years ago, I moved to Laundrylux and took a VP position there and have been managing their sales teams, distribution, chain accounts, all kinds of things. So, and do a lot of marketing too. So it's kind of wear a lot of hats these days.
Awesome. And thanks for joining us today. I'm going to, kick it off with a softball, but you've been in the industry a long time. You're now leading strategic partnerships at Laundrylux. What are the biggest changes you've witnessed in the industry over your career here?
Well, when I started off in like 2002 or something, there weren't a lot of electronics in laundromats back then. I was still seeing a lot of like timer models, and those of you who were there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And they're great machines, but they used a lot of water, right? And they had a lot more fills and washes and things like that going on. And so we slowly started to see the advent of electronics, which obviously brought the efficiency in place that we started to see now, because you can now customize the cycles and go in and create all these neat things. And then we had the ability to card stores, kind of the rise of card stores really kind of took over in the last 20 years. A lot of changes. People using more 80 pounders, 60 pounders in stores. Bigger machines became a big trend for a while there and still is. And kind of ties into probably some of the other stuff we'll talk about. So I'll come back to it. And then larger footprint stores are really a thing. I'd say the average store when I started was like 1,500 square feet. And that seemed like it would never change. And you go in and there's, 2 rows of top loaders across the middle of the store, and there were maybe 2 front loaders on either side. And all single pocket dryers, stuff like that. You would see stuff like that. And wood paneling, getting rid of that was a good thing, but there was a lot of that back then. But to see, I guess, bigger stores, bigger machines, more technology really is the arc that we're seeing.
I'm actually still a fan of wood paneling. My wife would disagree.
It's coming back.
I still think it looks good. One thing I'd love for you to explain for us is Laundrylux's next level model and really how it's built on the 4 pillars of customer experience, performance, efficiency, and profitability.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. We can unpack that. I'll do it. I'll do my version. Yeah. My version is a little more, I'm going to stay high level and say, when I came from another manufacturer that really didn't ever talk about hygiene, and although I saw the adoption of 200G really kind of taking off while I was there, when I jumped over there and they were like, no, 450G is the big deal, and it took me a while to wrap my head around it. Even me with like 20 years in business, so I went to a lot of events, and I went to some stores and I met with store owners. And I started to see the utility bills before and after, which, I looked at them closely and I knew how to read them. And I said, wow, this is neat. So, the operating cost of utilities typically runs around 20 to 18% on a store. Wouldn't you say, Mike? And one of my mentors right here, this is wild to be able to talk, and literally somebody who taught me the business at a young age. But anyway, to be able to see like those utilities drop to 12% to 10%, that's what next level is really about. What does that mean for you? It means that your utility bills are going to get slashed. Somebody asked me, if I put in your 450G equipment am I going to get a rebate? Eligible for a rebate? And I said, yeah, you get a rebate every month when you get your utility bill. I mean, that's really what it's about. And if you have like crappy parking, you're going to also be able to turn that faster. So think about it. You got 6 spots. You're going to turn the cars faster because you got faster throughput. You can see more people on busy days. So your profit is up too. You know, your revenue's up. So a lot of different things start to happen, and it makes sense to me if I had a long view of the industry that we're going to see a lot more hygiene in the future.
Yeah, and I will say if you have never gone to a next level event, I would recommend going. I've seen, 20, 30 that Josh and Andy have done, and it's so cool having them walk you through the process and seeing the hygiene. So if you have that opportunity, highly recommend it. You touched on a few of these things, but with the next level laundry approach, we've heard that it can increase revenue and also lower operating costs versus what competitors do. What are some of the other strategies that drive those results?
I think for one thing, a modern laundromat, whether it's hygiene or not, is going to have the latest and greatest in energy efficiency built into the electronics, into the mechanics. For a next level machine, in particular, an Electrolux professional or Wascomat machine, you have these, like, if you just start with a drain valve, right? Most every machine in the industry uses a very similar drain valve. It's made by a company in Florida, and it has a long sump that comes out, and it's a big rubber tube. It's about that big, and it goes to the drain valve. And whether or not you have something going on up here, it's holding water down there. And every time it drains and fills, it's called dead water. It sits in that thing, and it's a few gallons of water. But over time, that's a lot of dead water that gets, a couple dumps per cycle over, 40 machines over 7 days a week, and do the math. It's tens of thousands of dollars of waste of water. So we start right there, and we created a sumpless, drain valve, and it hooks right in the bottom of the basket, and it saves, an incredible figure of money for you. And then we have smart technology built into the machine today that I think is one of a kind. And I think it makes so much sense to me that pretty soon everybody's going to have a version of this in the future. But how many times have you been in a laundromat and you'd seen somebody put like a 20-pound load into an 80-pound machine or something along those lines? They really don't know what 80 pounds of laundry really looks like. And neither do we. To be honest, if I got all of you up here and had you hold a bag of laundry and ask you how much it weighed, I doubt any of us would get it right. I very seldom see anyone get it right. We've tried this, and I use the analogy: you go to the airport and they ask you, "Yeah, your bag's 5 pounds overweight. You got to take 5 pounds out." Do you know what 5 pounds of clothes looks like? Yeah, I mean, you think, is that 2 shoes and a sweatshirt? Is that a hygiene bag? What is it? So anyway, my point is, people underload machines most of the time. And so our machines have the ability to weigh the load before it starts and say, wait a minute, this is not 80 pounds of clothes, it's 40 pounds of clothes. I'm not going to add 80 pounds of water. I'm going to adjust to a 40 pounder. And you wouldn't believe how much money this saves you over time, because as you know, water is a very expensive resource. So automatic weighing makes a lot of sense to me. I think everybody's going to have a version of it in the future. The way that I think probably when axial airflow came out in dryers, does anyone know what that is? Everybody was laughing. Now everybody has it, except maybe one brand. So that's kind of the way I look at it. So,
yeah. And I know really with Laundrylux, high spin technology is a major focus for a laundromat owner. With that technology, how does that help them differentiate themselves from their competition?
It's a big differentiator. I mean, here's the thing. You guys either own laundries out there surrounded by competitors, or you're looking to put a laundry in a market that already has competitors there. There's very few new markets. There's a lot of attrition going on. And you want to stand out in a sea of mediocrity, right? You want to really be different. And so what are the things that you see store owners doing to be different today? Maybe they put in an ozone system. Maybe Maybe they, have different services. Maybe their idea is to have the largest machines in the area. Well, I say use Hyg as a differentiator. Because unlike an ozone system, to me, and not knocking it at all, I love the business. I just think it's hard for an end user to wrap their head around what that is. But when they see their clothes coming out of the washer and they're nearly dry, they immediately know what that is. And they go into a dryer and it dries in less, 15 minutes faster than any other dryer in town. They're going to leave your laundromat thinking you are the best dryers in the world. And that's the last impression they're going to have of your store, and that's a good impression, right? So I'm going to recommend you use Hyg as a differentiator in this case.
Absolutely. And, we've heard that with the next level model, some stores are achieving 20 to 30% cash on cash annual return. What are some things that those owners are doing that really help them reach those performance levels?
Well, when you go into pro forma, as I do often, and I'm trying to get that 30% cash on cash return, I'm gonna ask you guys, what do you think your major variables are that really move the needle? There's like three things. All right. So there's utilities, labor, and probably your equipment note and rent, right? So maybe four things. Okay. So of those four things, what can you really lever? You can get a good deal on your equipment, but is it really going to, it's still going to be a six-figure number, right? So it's like, okay. And then you got your rent, which, is it $10 a square foot? Is it $20 a square foot? Right? That's something you can negotiate maybe, but then you're locked into it for a very long time. So then you have variable things like utility and labor. Okay. These are things you can actually manipulate as the day goes by. So I say, we're going to help you with utilities, and labor is really up to you. Like the way we design stores, we design them to be unattended, but in reality today we're seeing a lot more attended stores. And we know that we're getting kind of a sense that attended stores can produce a lot more revenue if they're kind of set up the right way. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, crushed it. You're doing a great job. One thing I'd love for you to touch on a little bit is just the importance of the customer experience component in today's laundry world, and then some other practical ways that an owner can really elevate that experience in store for their customers.
Yeah. I think so. I had this guy in South Florida. He's a French guy. He had like 9 stores. And I always try to, multi-store owner operators are a unique animal. They can teach you a lot. And I was standing in his store and he was very quiet, and he's watching customers come in and out, and so was I. And I was kind of saying, who's going to say the first word here? Because I was really trying to get him to retool a store with me. And he said, you know what the secret is to this industry? And I said, what's that, sir? And he said, everybody comes through the door here. It's their worst day of the week. It's laundry day. And he's like, it's like doing the dishes. And he's like, but I try to make them a little more comfortable and give them a nice place and respect. And they'll come a little bit further to come to my store, and they'll pay a little bit more even to have that experience. And he said that, and it was like, you ever heard the Albert Einstein quote where, like, if you can't explain something in the most simplest terms, then you don't fully understand it? He got it. It just clicked in my head, and I knew that was right. And so I think about the customer experience from the parking lot to the folding tables. And I think, what is their journey through my store or through a store? And all the little pain points and in the flow of the store and all those things. And if you really dial into that and you really take care of that, you're going to have an amazing store. You're an amazing operator, and you're going to be very successful.
Yeah, I think something we hear a lot is the concept of if you build it, they will come is no longer a reality. You need to create that experience to get your customers to walk through the door, but also to come back every single time. Two-part question here, but just, looking ahead at market trends, what are some challenges that you kind of foresee coming up in the next 5 to 10 years for laundromat owners? And with those challenges, what are some opportunities you see for them as well?
Yeah, I mean, I want to, before I say anything scary, I think I would mention that all industries are really facing some challenges right now, whether you're in the restaurant business or, whatever your business is. We're all seeing high interest rates. We're all seeing rents go up, and we're seeing construction costs go up, equipment costs go up, utilities go up, labor go up. Everything's a little bit inflationary, thing going on right now. And so, I mean, typically how any industry responds to that is we raise price. And so we know that prices need to go up, and that will help us. The other thing we're seeing, the reason you see, by the way, one of the most popular events of the year is a thing called Wash, Dry, Fold, other than Clean Show. Recently the CLA, has been doing them in Nashville, and they've been wildly popular. And if you've been to one, you're like, wow. The reason that's so popular, by the way, is people are looking for additional revenue streams to help offset those rising costs. That's why it's very popular to go to learn about, a commercial pickup, wash, dry, fold, things like that, because vending, whatever it is.
Yeah. And then, for new investors considering entering the laundromat business, what's your advice to them for building a sustainable, profitable operation from day one?
I think I would be I would say 20 years ago, to kind of bring it home. When I was, in my younger 20s and I was looking at laundromats in that day, I could never picture really exactly in my head where we are right now. So now imagine you are right now you're on a wooden wagon on a dirt road, and I'm trying to tell you about a space shuttle that's going to come in 100 years. You probably wouldn't believe me. But I'm only looking 20 years out, and I'm thinking, okay, we see some things that could be patterns, like AI, the rise of AI. You can see that high efficiency is probably going to be more important in the future, which means high G-force machines are here to stay. We're going to have soft mounts everywhere at some point, right? It might as well, if you're thinking 20 years ahead, I'd be looking to get the best technology possible that exists today. That's my advice. I would lay out the store be prepared for more wash, dry, fold, business. I think we have a generation a little bit younger than me that loves to order out food and loves to order out laundry, or will soon. And I think that's something we got to get ready for. And so we got to design the laundries for that, at least to be future proof.
Yeah, I think the concept of instant gratification, whether it be for Uber, Amazon, whatever it may be, if you want something, you want it right away and you want it to be easy.
Yeah.
You talked about, adding additional services and, owners becoming more sophisticated and using data more. So really, to wrap it up, I'm curious to get your opinion on what role you see strategic partnerships playing in your vision for the future of commercial laundry and just overall in general.
Thanks, Erik. I look at my role now kind of stoically as I look at a long arch of the industry, and I try to make sure that we're ahead of where things are headed. And at a high level, I look at the sales team and make sure they have the tools they need for those challenges ahead of us, and the challenges of making our store owners successful. I think that's ultimately what I think should be at the heart of everybody who's in a position that I'm in is we want to have the most successful store owners there is on earth. And we want them for life. We want them. I have so many customers that call me today and have done 9 or 10 stores, or I have a friend does 25 stores. Got a friend that does 109 stores. And I've been with him for over a decade. So anyway, I just and I build those relationships on making sure they're successful. And so if you're working with, I guess if I had some advice, you're working with a rep, and if you bring them a lousy location and they don't talk you out of it, you probably need a new rep. And if they're quoting you 100G machines right now, you probably need a new rep, I would say, because future facing, the future, it really isn't. 100G machines are like having a corded phone right now. You know, it's like you got to get it out of the house, I think.
Absolutely. And Jason, you've been a great partner to us at Simpson Laundryworks. You've been a great resource as I learn the industry. So thank you so much for spending time with us and, sharing your wisdom for everyone here. And I do want to open up for questions if anyone have it, because we do has one, because we have a few minutes. So
Thank you, Erik.
You mentioned earlier that attending stores with the right setup was something, a trend that we're seeing right now. What is that right setup?
Oh, so could you hear that? I'll say she asked attended stores. I said, getting ready for that or is a trend that we're seeing. And how do you set up a store for attended, model? So, it's I had somebody the other day who wanted to build a laundromat, and he wanted to put more machines in and lose the counter. And I fought him on it. I challenged him on it. And he's like, well, I don't think I'm going to use a counter. And I said, well, you might need a counter. You want to sell laundry one day, though. I mean, you got to look at it, revenue per square foot, and you got to kind of do the math and see if it's worth it. You got to look at the demographics and make sure that customer is going to be around there. Sometimes it's not. I know some neighborhoods that are so maybe on the lower end that there's not a lot of drop-off business there, and you'll have to go get it. You'll have to do commercial pickup, and then you still need a counter for that, I think. So designing the store to have that, whether even if you have like a pull down door that locks and it's there if you need it, and there's your counting room, your privacy room to deal with rear loading changers where you can kind of have some secure area to handle money and
rear loading kiosks with Laundryworks.
There you go, with Laundryworks, exactly. These guys are great. Erik's been around the country with me doing these events this year, so we've become close. But we do a lot of we talk to a lot of store owners, and it's very market dependent. Like sometimes, the way the stores are in Texas, everything's bigger. So lots of room for this model. I think when you get in like rural markets and you're pressed for some of this stuff, you got to think about it. You got to have a great advisor. Don't go on this journey without a great advisor that knows what he's talking about. Don't try to do all your research on the internet. Trust me, you will make terrible mistakes, expensive mistakes.
Yeah, and I'll just add, there's a reason why we've had 3 conversations in a row with distributors. They know their market, they know the industry, they're the experts. So really find someone that you can work with, that you trust, and most importantly, find someone that you can grow with, not just buy machines from, but that you can truly partner and build a business with. So definitely want to add that to it as well.
Yeah. Does that kind of answer? I mean, things like, I've seen buildings where you can put the laundromat in the front and you have a processing area in the back with a pull down, ramp and stuff like that. Very nice to have if you really want to think ahead and think about how much time do you want to spend in the laundry and how much labor do you want to put in the laundry? And then for every attendant in the laundry, you got to have something that generates revenue to offset that. So that's what I recommend.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll be around the booth. Visit Jason at Laundrylux, but thanks for spending some time with us, and we'll talk to you later.